So this started out as a joke, but I want to talk about the whole thing when people say this console doesn't have any games, like PlayStation doesn't have any games, Xbox doesn't have any games. And the reason that this is a thing is because this became a meme back when the PlayStation 3 had launched, and it launched with very few titles in comparison to what we got with the Xbox 360. When the PlayStation 4 came out, it pretty much was an entire 180 on the console generation, and PlayStation 4 had a whole bunch of games, and Xbox probably was just like minuscule. Xbox One really wanted to be TV, but that is besides the point and for another video. Today I just want to talk about why I never really understood why we're still saying X system doesn't have any games, because my god, my backlog is so full. I have more games than I will ever play. In fact, the amount of games that I have, I'm probably never going to finish all of them. And if I did, I'd probably be gaming up until I'm 90. And not to say that's a bad thing if I'm always gaming up until I'm 90 or whatever, however long I'm still here. I feel like that would be pretty cool, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself that I'm finally getting through some stuff on my backlog. And it's interesting that the type of games that I'm getting through on my backlog aren't AAA games that have come out within the last year or two or couple years. It's actually a mix between older AAA games, which are now probably classified as retro gaming, from PlayStation 3, some PlayStation 4-ish, but the fact that we're calling like PlayStation 3 retro just goes to show like how old I really am. Some PlayStation 2 titles, and really even going back to some of the old games that I never played on Game Boy Advance and 3DS, and even indie titles. So what it is the games that I'm completing on my backlog are a mixture of independent titles and old retro games from yesteryear. So I don't really have like specific titles. I'm like really bad when it comes to naming games that I'm currently playing. Like somebody will ask me, "Oh, what are you currently playing?" or what favorite music or favorite movie or favorite video game? And I couldn't answer that question legitimately because of just how many type of titles that I've been playing. But I guess for starters, and this one's probably a bad example, but one of the AAA games that I am probably playing that came out, I think, in a little while ago was Yakuza series. I have not touched the Yakuza series, but I have also went back and played some indie titles. One indie title that I'm currently playing right now is Cat Quest, and this game is really simple. In fact, I'm going to be honest and say that the game is very grindy, and there's elements of it that I don't like, but I just can't stop playing it. Like, I, for some odd reason, got really addicted to playing Cat Quest that I started playing Cat Quest at, say, 8 to 9 p.m. one day, and then several hours later, and it's 2 a.m. And what's weird is that I had this game for over a year and a half, or whenever this game came out, because I bought it on sale on my Switch. And I never touched it until a few days ago. And I'm like, why am I hooked on the game now? There's other titles that I have recently been playing that I've been on my Switch backlog for years. And some that are also on my Steam Deck of different independent titles, different demos. I really can't even name half of them. There's just so many of them. But a lot of it is really games that sort of have a more arcadey and cute and stylized graphics rather than the big AAA realistic styled of graphics that everybody seems to be pushing these days. I feel like going back and playing a lot of these titles that are more simplistic in their gameplay design and their graphics has actually made me enjoy video games a little bit more. And I'm not looking for a game that is 30 plus hours anymore. I'm looking for shorter experiences that are more in the range of 10 to 15 hours. I'm looking for analog horror games. The Fear to Fathom is another one. I've been playing some of the Chilla's Arts horror analog games. There's Crow's Country. There's just so many independent developers that are putting out good games out there that I think to myself, I don't need to buy another game for a long time to be satisfied with my backlog. And there's some that are obviously not that great. There's going to be a couple independent games or quote-unquote shovelware that I probably accidentally buy, or just a game that I'll try and I'm just like, this isn't for me. But what will be weird is I will come back and there's a lot of really good bangers out there that you could spend $5, $10, $15 on that you don't need to go out and spend $70. But here's the weird catch about this, right? If I would have got Game Pass or I would have got PlayStation Plus, my backlog and my collection, these games are included in these subscription services generally. And it's one of those scenarios where I probably never would have touched them even if they were on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus library. But on the Switch and even on my Steam Deck, when they're like $2, I would much rather buy them and keep them for however long the license is available, or even if I can buy it on, say, GOG.com or GOG, that's another option. But I think the main point of this video that I really wanted to drive home is that we are not in a space where we have no games to play. The independent developers are putting out some really good stuff. I think if anything, if there is a gaming crash that is ever going to happen, I don't think independent developers are going to have the effect as much. I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to mostly be AAA gaming that is going to get hit the hardest, because for some real reason these companies feel necessary to spend $200 million on a game project and then go, we did not make our money back, this is a flop. Or they'll go with more remasters or projects that are less likely to fail than trying something new. So independent developers have the luxury of trying something new and keeping the gaming space alive and keeping it in a more flourishing state. Now, there is going to be shovelware. There's actually, believe it or not, quite a bit of crappy games on the eShop, on the PlayStation Store, that you can tell are really bad. Like, any of these ones that have AI-generated images, you already know they're going to be bad. They're like the simulator games, and some of them can be fun to check around or mess around with, but most of these simulator games are going to be hot garbage. The ones that have just random words, the ones that use the AI images off of just, ChatGPT or whatever the image generators are called. I forgot. There's so many chat or AI image generators now that you could tell. You could tell which ones aren't putting any effort. And what they'll do is they'll have a game that they'll put on for sale. So it'll be normally $10, but it'll be like 99% off, and it'll be like a couple pennies or $1. And you're like, bro, you really trying to sell your garbage to me at this price? Yeah, I'll pass. So that's usually a red flag to look for. But on my Steam library, I have about over 500 games, and some of them I have not even tried. I had bought Mad Max a year or two ago. I never played Mad Max. I never finished all the Arkham games. I played through Arkham Asylum. I've played through that. I've never finished Evil Within. So even some of the AAA titles that I have, I'm just not ever going to run out of games for a long time. So I'm just in this boat where I'm just going through my backlog. I'm taking my time to go through some games that I feel are interesting, compelling to me, and just cross them off the list. Preferably, I hope they're smaller sized games than larger ones, but if I pick up a AAA title that is going to be over 30 hours, it's okay. If it's I'll just have a very limited number of things installed, and I'm not trying to have all my games installed at once. That's where I'm at with my whole gaming budget. I'd love to hear what you guys are currently playing, and if you guys feel the same way as me. Do you feel like you have way too many games to play? Are you gaming all day so you're able to complete your backlog? What are you interested in, AAA or indie? I'd be curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments section below. But I'm going to have to figure out a title for this video. I'm going to have to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. And let me know if you guys enjoy commentaries and laid back conversations like this. So I am Double Pulse. Thank you guys for watching or listening, and I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.